And we're live.
Hello, SHL. We are Adam and Rich again,
That's us.
sort of, for number 17.
Yes, I do believe 17 is correct. And if it's not,
Yeah.
blame me.
I'm not pretty sure. Pretty sure. But that's, I think, normal. Always just
Yeah.
kind of sure.
I feel like
Um,
that's right. I feel like we talked about how we had
I,
like 4 months worth of podcasts last time.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, remember saying 16 last time. Or maybe I don't, but 17. Anyway.
Yeah, here we are, 17.
Yeah. So we're working through a little bit of some technical issues, so we'll see if this works. But hopefully everything sounds okay. Adam's got a new mic, and there's potential internet problems, but
Yeah, everything's going right tonight. So
yeah.
Mike
So hopefully,
should be good. I'll check. I mean, if we finish this recording and my mic's fucked, people are just gonna have to deal with it.
it sounds great on my end. So
Yeah, and I think it'll be fine mixing down to mono and OBS, but complain about it if it's not, and I'll try and fix it for next week.
yeah. So yeah, we've got. It feels so weird, kind of said a couple minutes ago. Yeah, we're a couple sims into preseason. One more to go.
Yeah, one more preseason sim to go.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to avoid that if we can. We've got a handful of questions, and
Yeah, if we can not talk about the index, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's I don't know about for Hamilton, but I know for sure Toronto's lines aren't correct. I'm sure it's the same with a lot of teams, so things are crazy.
It's been
So there's maybe a tiny bit we can take from it, but I don't know. I'm not. I was looking at it earlier, and I don't know what to think. So, but yeah, we've got a couple of questions. We've got potentially some Argar stuff to talk about.
Potentially,
I don't know if you wanted to respond or anything like that with mine, with what he was talking to. I was going to talk about anyway, kind of. It's not a response necessarily, but it's more like, oh, it's related, so this kind of works out.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I really have to say as far as, I should say I love the format he was doing with taking some clips, responding to them in context, and I thought that was a really cool way of going about it. And I did mention something that I thought he might not have talked about in a response to it, but he then addressed it. Just the idea that trading for rights basically means nothing, because the value there is completely lost. I'd mentioned last week about doing a bid before the deadline, but even then he makes a solid point that, if the opportunity is there for you to split, then there's still not much value to it. I thought he had some great counterpoints about the free agency bid and sign and trades, and I totally respect his opinion on it, and I probably did come off as a little bit abrasive with the idea that what's the point in fucking over your old team.
Fair though, at the beginning of it, you did say asshole, so it's like that was the intention, right?
Yeah, that's me. I'm the asshole. Yeah, I don't know. We don't see it in real life a lot for a reason, and I think he makes a solid point that people on this site are just a bit too nice for their own good.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we had said too, is that it was a case of Bengals being nice. He could have just
Yeah, he had the opportunity to just totally bounce if he wanted to, but he was being a good guy about it.
I want to actually give a shout out to Argar, because I like the one thing I think that he does probably better than anybody else in terms of his podcast. I know he's now doing them a little bit more frequently after a fairly long break.
A bit of a hiatus, yeah.
Yeah, but I like that he has a lot more. I think he's a better perspective on like the historical aspects of the SHL.
I agree with that.
So he these kind of legacy players or the all time great. I have a loose knowledge on that kind of his is a lot better, so it's nice to hear that perspective. I don't think anybody else really offers that, or at least not at that level, probably.
Yeah, for sure. And I do like the point that he made about maybe needing like an actual historian position to kind of work on those duties, because it is kind of neglected a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and he's what he was talking about in the cleaning up of certain things, like the actually we were just looking at team information, the team info pages. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
in the SHL history section. And yeah, they do. They're old for sure. So that'd be nice.
I said it to him, but we really do need to drag his ass onto this at one point or another, because I think he's got some very valuable insights that I don't know that either of us can provide into some questions. I don't know.
For sure. And if not else, it's just another angle to look at. It may not be totally different, but it might be, another set of eyes, another opinion on the things we talk about. So
yeah,
and I actually did want to talk off air about that potentially. So
yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
that's not for the listeners. That's not for you. You don't get to hear that conversation.
Yeah, secret stuff.
Got to keep you on your toes, otherwise, I don't know. If you know what's going on behind the scenes, then what's the point?
You want to get into some questions, or do you want to? I think I was going to save my stuff for Argar probably towards the end.
Yeah, let's hop into questions. That's probably a good way to close. I know that ML has asked me a question about Siege, so that's probably a bad closer. If you can talk about Argar at the end, that's probably.
Did he add? Yeah, he edited. Okay. Because I think when he first posted that, I looked at it. So he added some stuff. Okay.
Yeah, there's a rant coming about that. That's going to be towards the end, though. And I think you closing with Argar will make it a little easier to take, because I'm probably going to yell.
All right. Well, let's, I guess, jump into the questions.
Yeah, first one's for you from
nobody.
From that British man.
The one who was trying to hold together the draft stream. I could hear him occasionally try to jump in and announce a pick, but it just wasn't happening.
He tried so bad. He tried so hard. I feel bad about that, but it happened, and it's gonna be comedy gold in like 3 months.
Oh boy.
But yeah, nobody asks where are you signing, Rich?
So I guess this is the time when you would say something like nobody knows. Or nobody wanted to sign me, so I ended up in Toronto.
Yeah, I called this shit.
Yeah, Toronto. Toronto is I guess it's his question. He knows.
He knows.
I think most people know, but I can kind of explain I guess what went on.
Yes, please do, and hope that my internet holds up.
Yeah, so Toronto, it was basically Toronto and New England going after me. Minnesota was there as well, but given what I was looking for, I think they were a pretty unlikely destination. As I went through the process, it was really just those three teams the whole time, which is a little frustrating. See a few more offers, but that was it. And is one of the best kind of situations for what I'm trying to accomplish in the league at this point, because they have very few forwards that are going to check. It's basically my player and York. In preseason right now, we're on the same line, which is not what I anticipate in the regular season.
Not ideal, maybe.
But even on the same line as York, I'm still, I think, fifth in the league for hits with like 100 and I'm on pace for like 170 or somewhere in that area. So it's not bad.
That's a good place to be. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not really where I want to be, but then again, I'm again sharing a line with another guy who hit a bit. So when we get, we should see that number jump up a little bit. Toronto. Roughly, there's like what I was asking for, roughly 21, 22-ish minutes. Nobody that's going to hit. We've got some pretty solid forwards to get two pretty good lines. I'm not 100% sure what our third line is going to look like. I'm not super familiar with the team at this point, but I don't think our third line is going to be a whole lot to talk about, but I think our first and second should be reasonably formidable. And then, of course, defensively, it's Xander Reese, Bergen, and it's a little thin after that, but not terrible.
Yeah, could be worse. You could be Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. I think with the way the East is looking right now, there's potential that we make the playoffs. I think it's going to be the fourth spot in the East is going to be kind of a coin toss or between Minnesota, New England, Toronto. So
yeah, that's probably a fair assessment.
How it'll shake out, but yeah. So yeah, Toronto was the team.
Yeah, that was my hot take, and as it turns out, it was a mild take, apparently.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I guess if anybody had any knowledge of what was going on, they would have probably figured it out. New England wasn't a terrible location, but when I was looking at the roster, it looked like they had a lot more players with checking uh, put into their builds. So I thought it wouldn't be quite as good. It would have been, I think, a more interesting line to go back to New England after being there for a few seasons. And kind of, they've had a lot of roster, so it'd be, I don't know, a little bit of a weird homecoming. But there are still few players there that would have played last trip through. So that would have been kind of neat, but I felt like Toronto was a better fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. We kind of lost you to the interference there for a hot second at the end. You mentioned
Oh no.
oh man, this is fun. We got through that mostly scot free until the end.
Of course, of course.
You know how it is. I do apologize for that. I don't know why the building's internet is acting up today of all days, but
Could be mine too. I don't know.
we're gonna get through it. People will listen. They'll deal with it. Next
Yeah.
week will be better.
Yeah.
But we got through that relatively scot free. But yeah, Toronto.
Cool.
I'm happy for you. I think that's a good spot to be, especially for what you want to do as a player.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of most guys on that team have 40 checking, and you're looking for hits above all else, pretty much.
Mm.
So, definitely a spot that I don't think should come as a surprise to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense. You want to hit up Bonk's questions
Yeah,
then? There's not a whole lot else to say there, I suppose.
Let's talk to Bonk.
Yeah.
First question: thoughts on Winnipeg's new coach?
Yeah. This is what we were looking through the team profile pages for.
Yeah, we spent about 15 minutes or so trying to figure out who
Yeah.
Winnipeg's new coach was.
Yeah, couldn't find like an announcement in media, which is what I assumed it would have been, or anywhere else. But found out that you're probably referring to Storm
Got to be Storm.
because of the there was a little piece in his signing that said he was going to be joining the coaching staff. So my assumption is that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's my assumption too. I think Storm's a good fit. He's good. He knows the league, and I think that's important.
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I don't know if it'll make a difference or not. I don't know that
it's Winnipeg.
Yeah, their roster's so good. I don't know that there's going to be you're going to see a ton of impact from a different coach, but who knows? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those situations that he's going to have to do some work with, but inheriting Winnipeg as a coach, it's kind of like, I don't know, lucking into the 2015, 2016 Pittsburgh Penguins. You've got such a stacked roster on your hands that it's going to be kind of hard to fuck that up.
That's really what it comes down to. I think it's just not kind of breaking up any kind of chemistry they already have.
Absolutely. Don't prove me wrong, please.
So yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know enough about Storm in terms of his pre-experience or anything like that, whether or not it's good or bad, but should be fine.
This will be a question to revisit next season, depending on how Winnipeg does.
Yeah.
See how they fare this season. I think they'll fare well as they always do, but it'll be interesting to talk about chemistry and line work and how Winnipeg places in regards to Storm once this season's through.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, if you're anything else to say on that matter?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, how was your Halloween, Rich? Do anything exciting?
No, I did nothing really. It was pretty boring.
Yeah, neither did I.
I went to bed early. Had work in the morning, so I didn't do anything different at all.
That's fair. I think Halloween was what, Tuesday?
First was Tuesday. Yes. No.
Wednesday.
Wait,
it was Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah.
I was in the studio till like 3 a.m. That's what I did on Halloween.
Nice. What was that? Oh, that was not fun? Okay.
I don't know. It was fine. I'm an audio engineering major at my university, so I'm currently working in a film post-production class, and so my partner and I were in studio recording footsteps and cloth noises and shit for like 5 hours until we went from like 11 a.m. to 3 in the morning. So that was my Halloween. It was okay. I didn't get to bed till 4.
I got a question on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you're doing something like that, were you doing like a like for specific trying to like hit specific types of sounds like specific to situations, or were you just creating like a whole bunch of like stock sounds to use?
Oh, like a library. No, we were syncing footsteps to a film clip, actually, was what we were doing.
Okay.
So it was a lot of specific, what kind of shoes is this person wearing? What kind of material are they walking on? And trying to replicate those sounds into a microphone and hoping we don't blow the diaphragm out.
Hmm. Okay.
It's tedious. It's rough and tedious, and
Yeah,
the
that's
studios are always
that kind of
broke.
like grind of that kind of job. I think people probably don't think about.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things that until you know that 90%, depending on the movie, obviously, but you know, in a movie like Die Hard, 90% of what you see on screen was probably recorded after filming. You know, dialogue is overdubbed into the movie, footsteps are overdubbed into a movie, sound effects are put into a movie. Most of what you see in like a standard fare action movie was done in post production. It's a lot of work that goes into the audio of that side.
Hmm.
Um, it's tedious, but also it's super fun if you like doing it,
Sure.
and I like doing it. So
Well, cool. Yeah, I wish
yeah,
I'd done something more interesting, but
it was Halloween on a Wednesday.
yeah,
It's not like you can go to a party or anything.
yeah, it's Halloween too. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Halloween. You know what Halloween is? Halloween is a countdown to November 1st. Because I don't know about you, Richard, but the moment it hits November 1st, it's Christmas season for me.
I suppose. I don't know.
I'm festive. Don't I sound festive?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the guy at work that pretends to really love Christmas music just to annoy the other people that I work with.
Oh, my
So,
favorite.
yep, yep.
Unfortunately, I am that guy, but I'm not pretending.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
You want to move on to Argar?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. First question from Argar kind of ties into stuff we talked about last week in a way, and kind of ties into what you're going to talk about later. You know, all
Mhm.
things withstanding. What is the most valuable position in the Simon T Hockey Simulator between center, winger, defenseman, goaltender? And do you think this is accurate to real life, or should it be?
Hmm.
For me, in this sim, I think it's hard to pick a valuable position. Um, I could give you least valuable position, and I would probably tell you it's defenseman because defensemen, in my mind, operate basically as fourth and fifth forwards. Um, but I don't know. Goaltender is important. Scoring wingers and centers are important. Guys in the dot are important. I think if I had to pick a most valuable, you probably want a goalie who's dedicated. Because without a goalie, you can't Dallas Stars this, right? As much as we'd like to believe it, goalies don't let in that many goals on average in this league. And I think if you have a shit goaltender, you are not going to fare well in the league, in the sim. You need a goaltender that can at least get to like 800 TPE, enough to like hit the big stats. And once you get past that, everything else is chips from there.
Hmm.
As far as being accurate to real life, I don't think any one position is more valuable than the other in actual hockey, because everyone has to work as a machine in that game. It's not a it's any team sport. I don't know if there's a most valuable position, because if you're not working coherently as a team, if you're not working cohesively as a team, you're gonna get nowhere.
Yes. I don't know as well in real hockey versus STHS. As far as goalie goes, I think the goalie is a weird position because if it's the goalie isn't to a certain point, they to me become the most important player,
Yes,
meaning like the highest priority to improve that position. But once they're above that point, they become the least important, I think.
that's a fair assessment, I think.
For me, it was always in order I don't know. I don't think it really matters in STHS the difference between a center and a winger. If it does, I don't know how you would measure that.
It's minimal,
But to
right?
me, it's forward, defense, goalie in that order. And like I said, unless the goalie is below a certain point, and then they become either too much. Yeah, either your goalie can be so bad that it doesn't matter how good the team is in front of it, but having a good team will make a goalie better.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw that with, not to go to the Hamilton Steelhawks, but Slappy and Bonk talk about it a bit on their podcasts a few weeks ago. But we saw that with Jesus Christ, that Hamilton is a great team of skaters, and that automatically makes him look like a better goalie. He was a great goaltender last year, but without that core of skaters in front of him, I don't know that he's as good as he is.
No, and the issue is I think he's still kind of below that point where he get consistent enough play, even though he's got a really good set of skaters in front of him. So you're going to lose games that you probably shouldn't lose or wouldn't lose if you had a guy of 1,000 TP who's basically maxed out.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I think that's probably why you guys lost in the playoffs, or the biggest reason why. I don't know what other factors there might have been in terms of if your scoring dropped off or whatever, but in the situation that a team like that is, goalie becomes kind of the most important, but just because they're not, you're going to get that inconsistent play where they're going to play okay some games, and other games they're going to be a big problem. And I think defense, it's hard to tell as much what they do on the ice. Having a really good set of forwards, apparent. Having a good set of D, you can play a defensive game, but I think it's better and easier to build a stronger group of forwards to be successful. So I put them ahead of defense in STHS. I don't know well. I
absolutely agree with that.
So I really comment.
I've been really outspoken about the way defensemen work in this sim for a very long time. More so on this outlet than anything on the board, but I do think defenseman is absolutely. I mean, even when you get a goaltender to the point where they are basically invulnerable, to speaking figuratively, I still think defenseman is probably the least important position, because those guys need to do basically two things: get their defense to 99, get one of passing scoring to 99, because without giveaways, takeaways, without hits for loose puck, without any of these metrics that you would use to measure a goaltender in real hockey, it basically renders the concept of being a defenseman null. Yet at that point, you really are just a 4th, 5th forward on the ice, which you could argue for the NHL too, but the NHL has stats to measure whether a defenseman's being efficient or not. And I don't know. I'm tempted to just lump forwards and defensemen into the same group for this argument, because they act the same in Simon. But I don't know. Defensemen in this sim are not, they're inherently broken because of the metrics that we use. And I think we could change that, but it would be an argument of whether or not we want goaltenders to let in more goals or not. Do we want goalies to have lower save percentages and lower goals allowed, or do we want defensemen to actually play like defensemen? But I could bitch about that for an hour by myself.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess, I don't know. I always hear people say in real life that like strength down the middle is good, so center and defenseman are very important.
Yeah, absolutely important, especially for a center.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether or not that's accurate in STHS. I don't know how differentiates center to wings. I don't know.
I think
I don't know that they're any different.
I think the only metric that separates centers and wingers in this sim is the face-off stat. And even then, wingers can put points into face-off. Defensemen can put points into face-off, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Center's not specialized, so you have to make a center specialized, whether or not you want them to be a face-off. Do you want them to be a face-off specialist, or do you want them to play more like a winger? And I feel like there are archetypes in this system, but I do feel like center is kind of, like defenseman, kind of or underrepresented by the sim. I think that it's one of those things that we could totally get more of, and I don't know if Simon's the way to go about it. I know we talk a lot about, not necessarily us, but the royal we, talk a lot about moving to a different sim like franchise hockey manager or even Eastside hockey manager, which does actually allow for a bit more specialization in the position. But as of now, I feel like you can play two centermen, and that's either a centerman that plays like a winger or a centerman that has foregone playing like a winger to be a faceoff specialist. But maybe that's just me. I don't have any experience playing forwards in this sim.
I don't know. It's difficult to say exactly. I wish if we had more, giveaways, takeaways. I think it would be interesting to see if it mattered wing versus center.
Yeah. I think you would run. Sorry. I hope that didn't spike my audio. That's going to sound horrible.
It sounded fine here.
I do think you would see high. I don't know if it would differentiate center from winger, but it would absolutely differentiate checking and strength forwards from everyone else by a bigger metric than just hits and penalty minutes.
Maybe.
And that kind of ties back into our discussion about whether or not power forwards are. I think we talked about why power forwards may or may not be a viable build, but I'd like to maybe talk it even further to the point of, is a power forward really a build in the way that it works in this sim if the only metric we have to measure a good power forward is hits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Argar basically said that exactly. Is that you can't make a player like that's going to consistently play in front of the net or consistently go into the corners and dig the puck out, that kind of stuff. That's just not a thing.
We don't. I mean, and it's reflected. We don't have a grinder archetype, I don't think.
I mean, that's basically what the power forward is. That's kind of what my player was to begin with his kind of like high athletic, high skating, high strength, high endurance. It's what I envisioned as a grinder.
We need more archetypes. We need a better simulation. And I don't think we're going to get an experience as close to real life hockey as people want without moving away from Simon.
Yeah, no way.
But the problem becomes finding another sim that both works and isn't too much of a crazy overhaul, or in the other direction, finding whether or not people are willing to go through a massive overhaul. I mean, I kind of want to, not to sound like I'm cheating on you, Rich, because I promise I'm not. I kind of want to do a cast with maybe Ted and maybe Argar and maybe like Eggy, and just kind of talk through alternate systems we could use for this league. I'd really love to do a in-depth, long discussion about what kind of system you would build with something like Franchise Hockey Manager, what kind of system you would build with something like Eastside Hockey Manager, where you do have those specialties, corner play and being down in front of the net and giveaways, takeaways, and hitting for the puck, and you can make legitimate player archetypes in those systems because they are so specific in their attributes. And I just don't think we get that in Simon. And I don't think we will get that in Simon, period.
No, we can't. And that's part of the reason that everything's kind of unfixable.
Yeah.
Because it's just fixing it. We're handcuffed by the sim engine.
So it may be worth sitting down with people and talking about what kind of thing we could do to move this into a place where we can get it closer to the way that real life hockey performs. But it would be a very long and tedious reformation.
Yeah, and I actually don't think the league could handle it
we'd lose a lot of players off of that.
Yeah, based on the way things went when we just the update scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty significant loss.
Even to that, this league is volatile by nature. Not necessarily, I don't mean as far as toxicity goes, but this league is toxic, but there's a volatility to the player base in this league. We already lose people to inactivity in the system that we're in, and I know that people talk about expansion, especially with Reddit drafts coming up, especially with the amount of people we have in juniors right now, especially with looking forward with what we've got coming, and you're gonna lose people to expansion alone. How many people are we gonna lose if we switch the system altogether?
Yeah, it's a huge risk that I don't think is worth it.
It's a weird value balance because I think pursuing a more legitimate, more accurate, more real life esque sim is a good direction for this league to move, but the possible retention loss is so great that it will probably never happen.
Hmm. I think part of what I'll get into a bit later will kind of relate to this in terms of the builds a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we can get to that later.
Yeah. Speaking of the website, Argar asks, what do you think the website needs to be more engaging? What do you both find enjoyable, and what do you both find tedious?
As far as more engaging, I think better media.
Better media is absolutely the solution.
I love the pieces that Sammy did just this last week. Those inside things. I love that stuff.
Yeah, his insider trading bits have always been very fun to read. I like stirring the pot. I mean, that's half the fun of the offseason and half the fun of the free agency or the trade deadline in real hockey is reporters with kind of shitty information coming forward and stirring the pot a little bit. That's half the fun.
Yep. Like the first one he put out, he had like one team in his list of teams that I had potential to go to. Like one team of those were actually talking to me. I think out of the 4 or 5 he listed. By the time by the time the second one came out, he had it narrowed down to the 2 correct teams that I was most strongly considering, which was New England and Toronto. But the first one was just like there was no accuracy. But it's interesting to see that. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
And I think it's a cool idea to have GMs maybe feeding a little bit of information to media guys who they know can be trusted with the information. I don't know. When you stir the pot, people get interested, and when people get interested, you have fun on this site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes for interesting little the rumors and things. It's just I enjoy it.
As far as what's tedious, I don't know.
And just the grind.
Yeah, it's a grind especially once you get to like. And I mean, most people will never. I've talked about this with other people, and I think we've talked about this before. Most people aren't even going to see 1,000 TPE in this league.
Yeah.
But once you get to like 1,200, at that point, it's okay. What do I have left that I can put points into before I just start banking?
I think if one of the things for me is, and this is something King and Luke were talking about in some of their interview things. People how they kind of stay involved in the league. And for me, and I hope I'm not going all crazy robot voice right now.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think what you were conveying was getting through. You talked to Luke and King about how they, how people stay active in the league, or rather in their interview podcasts.
Right, and for me, it's setting goals, goals, and kind of having something that I'm focused on achieving that keeps me driven. And I think if people, I mean, you can't. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's more difficult for some people, but for me, it's fairly easy to kind of set a goal and do whatever I can to achieve that. And that helps me stay active because then I've got something to work towards. And even if it isn't something I'm super active working towards, at least keeps me going on my player.
Yeah, and that's like, not to take it from the SHL to a philosophical realm, but that's kind of life in general. I think it's really easy to get caught up in grand ambitions, but setting even small goals for yourself in this league can be a way to keep you moving. You know, I want to hit 90 in scoring. I want to hit 700 TPE. I want to make it onto the top 6 of a team. You know, I want to make it to free agency and experience that. You set little goals for yourself, and I think it's way easier to achieve those. And the more you achieve those little goals going forward, it's very rewarding.
Definitely helps. What else? Tedious? I don't know. There's not a whole lot other than just the kind of the weekly grind. I guess there's not I don't have a lot of reasons to come other than that weekly grind. I show up and do my stuff, and then outside of that, I'm basically sticking to Discord. So
exactly, I spend very little. I mean, I have to spend time on the side. I'm head office, so I actually have to keep up with things now. But Before, yeah, I did my shit, and then I hopped back into Discord for the week. If someone was starting drama or there was a PT, that's when I got back on the site. But for the most part, it was do my weekly, get in, get out.
I guess another thing that could be more engaging, and this is, I guess, just me, or it's going to be variable, person to person. But the PTs, if the PTs are good, I think it helps.
Yeah, I would agree. If the PTs are engaging, people are gonna do them. I mean, granted, I guess I can bitch about the fucking PT affiliation again. I think that's been a good thing and a bad thing for the league. It's now it doesn't really matter if your PTs are engaging or not. You're gonna have 30% of the people just claiming a welfare, but good PTs keep people interested and make people want to keep doing stuff. So I do agree that maybe I think Izzy's on the right track. I think some of his PTs last season were pretty damn good. I know some people thought he stumbled with the CW a bit, and I have opinions on that too. But I think that as far as interesting ideas for PTs go, he had some very good ones.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. It's to maintain a balance. That was one of the things that I'd like to see a little more of, is a little more balance between kind of story-based narrative PTs and kind of more statistical analysis type PTs. I don't think we had a great balance of that previously.
Couldn't agree with you more, Rich. And I don't even like statistics.
That's about it for me.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say on that topic either.
He is the big one, and I enjoy the site a lot more.
Yeah, good PTs make you enjoy the site more. That's just the way it kind of goes. When you have to come on and do shit, it should at least be fun. To quote my man Reggie fucking whatever his last name is from Nintendo of America, if it's not fun, what's the point?
Okay. Yeah. I have no idea who that is, but
he's don't worry about it. It's nerd shit. My real ones will know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, let's just move on to Luke, I guess.
All right.
This is a weird podcast this week.
That's fine. So he says, "How are our fantasy teams looking?"
Not done yet.
Oof, yeah, I'm not done yet either. Not super confident after far. I made early on. Bring up my spreadsheet.
I'm trying to think who I've got thus far. Bennett, Weber, Eastwood, Wilson, West Kendall goaltending, I think is all I've got right now.
Yeah, so that's, you have one player left to pick, is that right?
I got one more forward, yeah.
Yeah, same. I've got Jack Tanner, Isaac Odegaard, Pietro Volkova, and Trevor Wilson.
Yeah,
and then
baby.
Winnipeg goaltending.
Winnipeg goaltending solid. That's probably still going to be the best goaltending in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be up there unless they have one of those weird seasons like they had a couple seasons back. But
blame Storm.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I missed out a lot of forwards early, and it could potentially hurt me, I think.
Maybe. I think you can still walk away with a good points haul, especially if your defensemen do good. Odegaard, I think, is a good pick.
Odegaard's going to get huge minutes. Minnesota has, unfortunately, nothing kind of at defense.
I think Odegaard is going to be killer this year.
Yeah, PB is going to be getting probably top 5 minutes in the league.
And God bless, honestly, PB deserves it.
Yeah, so should be a good season.
She's still pretty active, right?
Yeah. Argar lost 100 extra TPE. Sorry, Argar. I was sad to hear this, but he lost an extra 100 TPE to an audit. He was overspent by a bunch on top of the regression.
No one is safe. No one's safe.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know who the next defenseman is after Odegaard and Argar.
Yeah, because Sharabakov's not in Minnesota anymore.
No.
I have no idea.
I don't even know.
I have no idea who your bottom your bottom
some
four are.
young guys probably. So that should be okay. My defense should be quite good. Words.
Yeah, your defense is going to be solid. I think Odegaard and Tanner are. And we already know Tanner's a bona fide fucking stud. So, and Odegaard is going to be getting minutes this year. So I think if your defense performs well, I think you can make up for your forwards. You still have Wilson though, and I mean he always lights it up.
Yeah, but he's. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen this season. I'm worried. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
They did just win a cup. So.
And he's regressing. It's I don't know. It's just I didn't get the guys that are a little more sure picks.
Yeah.
I think Wilson's a fine pick. I've had him the last 2 seasons. I dropped him 2 seasons ago and then just picked him last season. He's been good for me, so I'm gonna kind of stick with that. My real trick is I gotta find some value with this last pick, and it's gonna be slim pickings for sure because I'm gonna be picking third to last with my So I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I've been looking at my list and I can't find anything in there that jumps out at me like, hey, this is the guy. Hopefully this guy's still there. I don't know.
Yeah, it gets hard once you get in around 6 and you're still looking for forwards.
Usually I can kind of pick a guy and think, oh, this guy might do well, but I don't see anybody that seems obvious this season.
Is Koenig gone for you yet?
Who what?
Oliver Koenig? Hamilton?
No.
Might be a pick worth picking up. He's active again.
He doesn't. I don't know. Season
rough.
Performance would make me very worried.
Yeah, he's been looking good in preseason, but it's preseason. That doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
So fantasy's looking bleak, Luke.
Yeah, I don't know about just not confident this season, but we'll see.
It's okay. You're allowed to not be confident.
That's what I do.
So moving forward from Luke also says hi, and I just want to say fuck you.
Oh. Whoa.
I gotta get that in there. I'm bullying Luke
Jeez.
now. ML's back on my sweetheart cutie pie list again. I gotta bully someone, so I'm bullying Luke. He's a new GM He's a new GM in juniors this year. I'm allowed to bully him all I want. I just won 3 GM of the years in a row.
He's the co, right?
Yeah, he's co with Blake now.
Okay.
Yeah, so hope you're having a good one, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're moving right into ML, and I think that's our last set of questions here.
Yeah, looks like it.
We're doing good on time. A little early for a time check, but I figured I'd look. So bold predictions for the season. Got anything that jumps out at you? I shouldn't say. I know you're gonna want to make a prediction based on numbers.
Yeah, I don't make bold predictions.
And I know you're gonna want to make a prediction based on numbers, and I'll let you do that. But I just need you to give me a hot take right now, Rich.
Oh God,
something completely.
This is not my thing at all. Calgary last place in the West.
Hot. That's a hot take. That's a hot take that might happen depending on how things go. That's a hot take. They could be
out of the playoffs. They could potentially be out of the playoffs. I don't think it'll happen, but it's a possibility.
God, I hope so. That one's for all my Calgary boys. I hope you don't make the playoffs this year.
I think it's unlikely, but it's possible with Edmonton, LA, Texas,
Seattle.
Winnipeg, and Calgary all being, I think, potential playoff teams.
Yeah, so I would say Seattle, but with O'Callaghan going,
yeah, they took some hits.
That puts a hole in their offense, or I should say in their defense, because I'm an idiot.
They lost Selleck, they lost Callahan, they lost Smith or Smythe. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, Demarcus Smith, I think.
Yeah,
the fucking name.
And that's
DMS.
That's a tough hand
it's
there.
A rough loss. Shoutouts to Static. Congrats on the job, man.
Oh yeah.
I know I was part of the team that put you in place, but I'm gonna say congratulations anyway.
Made a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, he's the locker room guy, and it just makes sense to put him in there.
Yeah, tough position to be in though.
It's a rough. He was inheriting a rough team, especially with O'Callaghan leaving and DMS leaving, and Selleck retiring. He's in a rough spot, and I hope he can pull it off.
Yeah. But Texas, another season better. Winnipeg's Winnipeg. Edmonton's still very good.
Yeah.
LA's slightly better than some of their younger guys.
So,
So yeah.
what's your numbers take then, Rich? What's your reasonably like lukewarm take for the season?
Okay. In the East, we've got Buffalo, Hamilton, West Kendall. I think are pretty solid picks for the playoffs. Did
Yeah,
that all go through?
yeah. That you got it.
Okay. I saw some. I'm getting packet lost, and I can see it happening in real
You're
time.
good. I'm still green barring, so maybe it's on both of our ends. I don't know what's going on.
I'm seeing my outbound packet loss spike occasionally, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. But anyway, yeah, Buffalo,
push comes to
Hamilton.
shove. I know what you're saying. I'll translate. We got it.
Okay. Yeah, those three: Buffalo, Hamilton, West Kendall. I think should make the playoffs almost certainly. There's nothing certain in STHS, but that's as close as it's going to get, I think, in the East.
Yeah, I
After
agree.
that, it becomes, I think, a bit of a mess. Four spot between New England, Toronto.
Yeah,
New
that's a fair
England and
assessment.
Minnesota both. Toronto got a little better, but I don't know what that means. So
Yeah, it's that four spot's going to be that's going to be a legitimate battle for that four spot. I think Minnesota could get it, but with kind of a weak defense core and a really good top six, but not much beyond that. And goaltending that's still young, it's kind of going to be a rough fight. Toronto's good, but they have kind of the same problem Minnesota has in that they're just not that deep. Better goaltending
New
than
England,
Minnesota, though.
I think New England is the weakest of the three.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's a huge. I don't think it's by a lot.
New England lost a lot of people this offseason.
Yeah, they got, I think, substantially worse. But I mean, they added Biddies, which is a solid player, but they lost Storm.
They lost Storm. They
Toivo,
lost Kosonen
and
Evok gone too.
Fletcher. Yeah, three very good players.
Three very good players, and I mean guys that were the core of that New England team. I think New England's gonna have it rough this season, but they won't be Manhattan.
Nope.
And that's the important part.
I thought it went without saying that Manhattan was going to be last.
They're going to be the last, and it's. I feel bad for JY, but that team is just.
It's not ready yet.
It is. I don't know what it is. They're young.
No.
That's a good lukewarm numbers take. That was the same mildly hot take I was going to make. Fuck. Let me think of a hot take real quick. San Francisco makes the playoffs in the 4 spot.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable.
God
actually.
damn it. Why'd you have to say that? Now I gotta think of something hotter.
I mean, I think it's a long shot, but it wouldn't blow my mind if it happened.
Seattle wins the West. Seattle wins the league. There's your hot take.
That's pretty crazy.
Seattle wins the league. Book it. San Francisco making the playoffs is not in that 4 spot is not that far fetched, depending on how good the rest
it's not
of the
crazy.
Do.
But I wouldn't bet on it. But yeah, it's not.
No, it doesn't have my money. But Seattle winning the league, that has my money. Book it. I want the Vegas odds on that. Why don't we have gambling on this site? We should be running odds every year. That's something that would improve the site. There you go, Argar.
Oh boy. I mean, there kind of is. You can bet individually, but I'm not going to bet. But
I'm not putting money on the line over this shit.
Yeah.
I'm not putting money on the line over this shit.
Yeah. No way.
Anything else to say on that? I think we got some relatively hot takes. Calgary last in the West. Seattle winning the league.
Did we go? I guess. Yeah, I think we said Winnipeg, LA, Edmonton, Calgary, Texas.
Yeah,
all
those
potential playoffs.
Those are your big 5 in the West.
Yep. I think San Francisco's probably still last, but I don't think it's by as much.
No, they'll be better this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not much better, but better.
Yeah.
Moving right along then. Who do you think might be the breakout players this season?
I think he's looking for himself here.
Kruger.
Oh, well, he already kind of had. I mean, I don't know, breakout. Like breakout meaning award-winning breakout, or just better.
Kruger. I don't know, man. Just give me my Stevens so I can retire. I don't know. I don't know any of the rookies, so I can't make any predictions of that. Wouldn't be surprised to see King break out, but it's a rookie season, so whatever. He's a good forward on a shitty team, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that good though, really. I think we might. Let's see.
San Francisco have.
I think maybe you could see Coda Reed having I don't want to say big year, but a good year. Is that the right name? I'm pretty sure that's the right name.
Dakota Reed. Yeah,
Dakota Reed. Yeah, yeah.
define good year.
That's the thing. It's like they don't have a lot of forwards, but that's one. So
Yeah,
and probably maybe their best one at this point.
Probably. Trying to think who the hell plays on that team because is Reve in his last season?
Yeah, he's okay-ish, but
he's old.
His regression looks like it may have been done.
I hope so. Otherwise, someone's going to come for my head.
So yeah, I mean, updated a couple days ago. Just over 1,000 TPE, but not an offensive player.
Not a juggernaut by any means of the word.
No. And not really a hitter anymore either. No, so
yeah, I think Coda's probably a good pick for breaking out.
Maybe.
I don't know if it'll be enough to win an award, but it'll be good. I know he wants to hear this, so Mikhail Lakitinov probably.
I think, yeah, pretty decent chance he has a really good year.
I think he wants to hear that, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Lakitinov actually take off this season. Next season, though, bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else is young-ish that has been kind. I would not be surprised. We talked about Koenig a little earlier in fantasy. I would not be surprised at all to see Oliver Koenig break out a bit this year. Hamilton's not inactive, but we've got guys that are semi, and he's back and updating, so I think it would not be too far-fetched to see Koenig have a breakout year. Maybe Singh. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking Hamilton guys because it's the only players I fucking know in this league. Who's in West Kendall? I only played on 2 teams, so I'm trying to remember who was on those rosters. Who's in New England right now?
You got Biddies. He, in my estimation, he should have, but I don't think that's a surprise.
No. Maybe. You think we'll see Spitfire break out in Winnipeg?
No. Well, maybe because of their but they got what's his name, Grease as well.
That's true. Yeah. Well, Spitfire's a forward, isn't he?
No, I don't think so. Pretty sure D.
Right? God, Storm's changed positions like 3 times.
There's a forward.
I can never keep track.
Switch to D.
Okay. Yeah, probably not them with Grease and Weber in the top 2.
It is. I think his player or his update page. Oh, there's his update page. Pretty sure he better still be a defense man.
Yeah, if he's defense, then Weber and Grease will take up those minutes that are worth anything.
Yeah, it's tricky. Having 3 good and then 3 not so good, it's harder to decide like if any of them are going to have a good season.
Exactly.
And if so, which ones? Who knows? That makes it tricky. So that's hard to say.
I'm really trying to rack my brain for guys that could break out.
Unfortunately, players that moved, teams that are already, so it's hard to. None of them are probably going to be doing anything crazy.
Yeah, probably not. They went to good teams. Those guys that moved. So I don't know. Finn Kruger, Jonathan Lundberg. No.
My offense is a little questionable.
Breakout doesn't necessarily mean scoring.
Well.
John, here's my bold prediction for the season. Jonathan Lundberg, 250 hits on the season.
Ooh, I mean that would be fantastic, but I will be thrilled to get 200. So
it's a hot take for a reason, Rich.
Okay, fair enough.
Ever since I listened to that Slappy hour that was like, Adam, he gets a little hot and he tends to like kind of shoot. I don't think they said this, but like I kind of shoot my mouth off a little bit. So I've been playing into that a little more lately.
All right.
I'm here to be the. I don't want to compare myself to Howard Stern because I can't stand that guy. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, it's fine. I get it. I see what you're saying. Not really.
I don't know. I'm loud. I got to be loud. Because if I'm not loud, then it's just going to be like if I was actually acting like I normally act in real life, it would just be 2 relatively quiet dudes making a podcast about the league. So
yeah,
I got to be a bit loud.
That's what it was for the first probably, 10-ish.
Yeah, so. Probably before we kind of fell into the rhythm.
Yeah.
I have not gone back and listened. I wish that I had an actual video editing software so I could put that what was that? I put intro music in the first like 6 episodes.
Oh, did you? I've
yeah.
never listened back to a single one of these, so I have no idea what they sound like.
Oh,
So I was always
nice.
curious.
Yeah, no, I put what was it? I think I put. Let me Google this.
I know what's his name? Izzy like posted some intro music on one of our
Yeah, he
like our
did.
10th episode or something like that.
I used. I think it's. I think it's this. I'll link this to you. You can give it a quick listen because I only use like the first 30 seconds. Once I get through this Hearthstone ad, thank God, Blizzard.
Gotta sell you some packs, man.
I haven't played Hearthstone in years, and I'm glad. Yeah, I used Eric Satie's Gymnopédie #1.
Oh yeah, that old thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No idea.
That's a classic piece of piano music.
I have no idea what that is.
I only actually you might know the song.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask. Is would I recognize it just based on like if I listen to it? Would I say, "Oh, I've heard this
before"? You
before"?
may actually recognize it if you heard the first, because the first 30 seconds are the most recognizable part of the song. It's a pretty. If you're into classical music, it's kind of a famous piano melody.
Mm-hmm.
I only ever heard of it because it was in Mother 3, which was a game that did not come to the West. Thanks, Nintendo. But I wish I had an actual video editor so I could put this music back in because I do miss hearing it at the start of the. But now it's instead of intro music, it's just me saying, "And we're live," and that's the podcast now.
Which is it's good. It works for me.
Hey, it's
so.
fine. It's a good kickoff.
Yeah.
Eric Satie's Gymnopédie #1. Everyone, please don't listen to classical music. It's boring, and you'll get sucked into it if you like it too much. Moving forward.
You want to hit up that siege question?
Yeah, boy, this is gonna be a rant. So I don't know if you know anything about what this is in reference to, Rich. So it was either last night or this morning. I'll read the question off, and it'll kind of give you an idea what's going on. ML asks, Adam, how do you feel about the changes to Siege as they try to expand into the Chinese market, if you even care at all about graphical changes that don't affect the game? So,
what question is, changes are due to the moving into the Chinese market?
Yes. So it was either last night or early this morning that Ubisoft Montreal announced that they would be making aesthetic changes to Siege. So they're currently trying to expand into the Chinese market. And with that comes China's, and not to offend any Chinese listeners, I don't think there are any, but just in case there are, I don't mean to sound rude, I just don't like this very much. China has some very archaic censorship laws.
I think I knew about some, like they have skeletons for some reason.
Yes, you cannot portray skull and bones in any form in China for some reason. So Ubisoft Montreal announced that they were going to be making some aesthetic changes to Siege. And now the way most companies handle trying to move into the Chinese market, especially with their censorship regulations, is that they will make a separate version of the game, one global, one for the Chinese market. You see this in a lot of stuff too. Just recently I purchased a copy of Monster Hunter World for PC, which remind me to talk to you about that because I think you hunt, right?
Yeah, but
yeah, so maybe we'll do that one day.
ooh, yeah.
But I recently just a friend bought a copy of Monster Hunter World for me. And the way that they distribute the keys on the site we got it from was they have an international version and they have a Russian version. So this is a kind of a common thing that you see in the games industry where developers will make different copies of the game for specific region locking. You see it a lot with China because of their censorship regulations. And so what Siege is doing to appease the Chinese censorship is they are removing a number of elements from the game. And I guess I'll link an image in the description of this just so you can kind of know what I'm talking about. But they announced some aesthetic changes. They don't affect gameplay, and that's important to remember. Primarily, so when you get a melee kill in Siege, in the kill feed, you'll see your name, a little symbol of a knife, and the person you killed's name. Because of Chinese censorship regulations, we have to change that knife to a fist. When you get a kill in Siege, you'll see your name in the kill feed, a little skull, and the player that you killed. Because of Chinese censorship regulations, that now has to be a man with an X in his chest. But more than that, any instance of skull, bones, anything in the maps has to be removed and reworked. Any instance of gambling, there's a particular spot in the map, Clubhouse, where there's a whole room of slot machines. They have to be gone now. Gone completely. On yacht, there's an entire casino room because it's a luxury yacht. Gone. I don't know what the hell they're going to do for that room, considering the whole room is casino. Any sexual content, gone. Also on Clubhouse, there is an entire room called Strip Club because it's a strip club. It's a biker bar. That I don't know what they're going to do, but that whole room has to be reworked now. Any instance of environmental blood splatter. So on the map Tower.
Oh, that's weird.
On the maps Tower and Skyscraper, there are points where you will see just blood splattered on the wall. Has to be gone now. And normally, I wouldn't give a shit about this, because it is just graphical changes to appease Chinese censorship. But what Ubisoft has done, instead of doing what most developers do and pushing a version of the game for China, is they are pushing these graphical changes globally. Now, it is petty and stupid of me to say this, and I will readily admit that. But what Ubisoft is doing is basically subjugating the rest of their global player base to Chinese censorship regulations, which is meaningless in the context of gameplay, but is kind of a dangerous is such an overused word in today's political climate, but it's kind of a weird move to make. It's kind of a weird statement to make. But I'm not that worried about the graphical changes that don't affect the game. I think it's kind of bullshit that they're forcing Chinese censorship on the rest of the globe, but I'm more worried about the fact that they're making a global version of Siege. I don't know if you ever played PUBG when it was a big thing, Rich.
No, never played.
I assume you know the basic premise, though. Battle Royale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
When PUBG expanded into the Chinese market, they region locked their game. But as we all know, in the year 2018, region locks mean fucking nothing. If you have $10 in a VPN, you can be wherever you want in the world. And I don't want to speak like I understand Chinese culture, so if I'm wrong, please feel free to call me out in the comments of this. Please feel free to educate me. This is just secondhand information I've heard from people. But there is a pervasive notion in Chinese culture that you should do whatever it takes to win. It's competitive. And if I'm wrong, please call me out. I don't want to sound like I'm speaking out of my ass, and I really don't want to sound like I'm speaking like a bigot, because that's not what I'm trying to do here. But from what I've been told and what I've heard through secondhand sources, there is a pervasive element in Chinese culture that is ultimately very competitive. And if you're not doing everything you can to win, then you're immediately putting yourself at a disadvantage. And sometimes that comes in the form of hacking. When Chinese players got on their VPNs and got in North American and European servers of PUBG, because they are used to running hacks in their programs to give them an advantage, because do what you can to win, we saw a lot of people flooding North American and European servers with hacks from China, just dominating the scene. I mean, it's the reason PUBG is basically a dead game, is people got sick and tired of foreign hackers in their servers basically ruining the experience. And it is interesting to me to look at that and say, it's funny how in a culture like that, hacking is just a way to give yourself an advantage to win. And here, it's in the West, it's kind of seen negatively, and I think for good reason. But what I'm more worried about than just Chinese censorship law is that we're going to see people coming into North American and European servers and hacking and starting to kill the game. I said it last week when Lepish talked about it. I think I said it when I was bitching about the fact that I actually couldn't play for a week because of a network error a month and a half ago.
Right, yeah.
I adore this game. Siege is still, to this day, since launch, probably my favorite tactical first-person shooter ever made. It feels good to play. It feels good to be a part of. It's amazing when you're getting kills. It's amazing when you're not getting kills. Wins and losses feel good because it's still just a fun game to play. And it absolutely deserves to be the best that it can possibly be. And I think people have a tendency to blame developers when shit like this happens because it's easy to blame developers. But I do believe that this is a corporate decision. And between this and the implementation of an auto-ban text system in text chat in multiplayer, I do think that corporate Ubisoft is making decisions that are ultimately going to harm this game in the long run. And I think that's a massive, massive, massive shame. Because this game deserves to be the best it can be, and corporate keeps fucking with it. And it's if foreign hacking becomes a problem, this game's going to be dead by the end of next year.
That'd be a bummer.
It would be a bummer, considering they've said they want to support it for another 6 years. I said I was going to yell, and I did not yell, and I'm glad I didn't. But
That's pretty close.
This sucks, man. It sucks. This is such an awesome, awesome game that I've sunk a lot of time into. I've sunk a good bit of real money into because I just enjoy it that goddamn much.
Yeah.
And seeing this happen, it's petty to get upset about censorship, but this is a really weird precedent that this company is setting, that they are, I don't know, is lazy the right word? They're too lazy to actually just spend the time to make a version of this game for the Chinese market, instead of trying to do what they can for the global market. They're a bit more concerned with the Chinese money than they are of keeping their global player base happy. Because if you go on the Siege subreddit right now, if you go on the comments on their website, if you go on the forums, people are fucking pissed off about this.
Oh, interesting. It's not the kind of thing that would bother me, I don't think.
And the graphical changes be damned. I'm just genuinely worried that we're going to see what happened to PUBG happen to Siege, and it's going to kill this game.
Yeah, I don't think that's something I would consider thinking about that.
And it's a shame. It's a great game, and I would love to see it keep thriving, but corporate keeps doing really, really stupid shit to this game. Anyway, play Destiny 2.
It's free right now.
It's free right now. Go get it on Battle.net.
I know a bunch of Toronto guys are playing it.
Yeah,
guys and girls.
Give them my number. I need people to raid with.
Yeah, it's. I got bored pretty quick.
Yeah,
the story's fantastic though. Really enjoyed the story.
It's one of those games that it don't let it being a shooter fool you. It's an MMO.
Yeah.
It's WoW, but with an FPS attached to it. If it's, I had a buddy of mine actually ask me last week whether or not he should pick it up, and I said it's one of those games that you are going to. It's one of those games you have to be willing to sit down and say 4 out of 7 days of the week, okay, I'm playing Destiny tonight because I need to grind for gear. And if you're not willing to devote legitimate time to that game, you're not going to get to do any of the cool shit that it has to offer.
That's tough. I wish
sucks.
there was like dedicated support.
Yeah,
that's all I want. That's all I want from it. But
yeah, it's
fine.
It's fine. I don't know. I have not been playing a lot of Siege lately, just because I've been wrapped up in Destiny and Blops 4 and Monster Hunter World. Now I'm trying to grind up quick because Autumn Festival's right around the corner for that. And all my roommates play that, so we have a full hunting party. But
nice.
Yeah, it's kind of sick. I had it on PS4. I have it on PS4, and I got Hunter rank 50 something. High rank 50 something on there. I spent too much time in that game, but I haven't paid for Plus in like a year. So
I think I didn't quite reach 100. I think I was at 98 or something like that.
Wow,
Hunter rank.
Wow, you can.
I played a lot on Xbox. That was not on PC.
Game. It's a great game.
Oh, it's so good. The thing I love about it is that the maps aren't big, but they make them feel big with the way they kind of put the game together.
And
they make the world feel really big, and it's really not.
It's not. It's a pretty small map, but just the detail in it and the movement system, and it's
so
a
good.
Really brilliant game. It's fun. It does a really difficult thing of being fun solo and with friends.
For sure.
Lot of those games you really do need to do it with people to kind of get over the monotony of it sometimes. And especially if you main a certain weapon that isn't great. Like my roommate right now still is attempting to fight Diablos, but
Mhm.
he's a heavy bowgun main, and that shit's basically
Ooh.
impossible. As in
Yeah.
trying to solo with a heavy bowgun.
I really wanted to play heavy bowgun, but when I first tried it, I was like, this feels like I can't do this solo. I mean, I'm sure there's
Yeah,
ways, but it just
and
I couldn't figure it out.
it
I went to
totally
hammer and greatsword and never looked back.
exactly it. I on PS4 I mained heavy bowgun and soloed most of the game. I genuinely I have no idea how I made it through the Nergigante fight with a heavy bowgun. I
Seems like
have
it would
no
be
idea.
so hard with a heavy bowgun.
But then shit like Rathalos is easy with a heavy bowgun. Just
Oh, really?
stand in
Huh.
one place and shoot.
Interesting.
It's one of those games that's great for variety. It also never goes on sale. So
Huh.
I think the cheapest I've ever seen it was $30.
Worth it though, I think.
Absolutely. If you like
it's
that,
so good.
you can put fucking dozens and dozens of hours into that game if you like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's my siege rant. I don't know. I think this is a move that is weird for the company to make, and I'm less worried about their graphical changes than I am the possibility of foreign hackers doing to this game what they did to PUBG.
Yeah. You want to get into, because that's all our questions then, I think at that point. Let's do a quick refresh just for fun.
Questions. Yeah.
But I'm betting we don't have any more. Yeah. So we got one last thing, I think, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that right?
You want to talk about Argar?
Yes. Not. It's really not about Argar. It's just kind of like related to what he was discussing.
God and my internet be willing. Let's
Right.
try and get through this.
I'm pretty sure it's mine, but anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But if I start to go crazy robotic and I need to chill, does that might happen?
That just happened, actually.
Yeah. So let's doing it again.
I will attempt my damnedest to translate if I need to. because I don't know. I have a weird thing where I can kind of understand what someone's attempting to say, despite the fact that they go through weird packet loss. But we'll figure it out. So let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk builds.
Okay. So I need to first make a disclaimer that I don't like. Argar said that we can't. Our systems are, and that's already a barrier to entry, and so we can't make it any more complicated. And I definitely agree with that. So the things that I'm suggesting, I do not think are actual good things at all. Like these aren't going to work because they just make the league more complicated. So I don't. Yeah. But they're just ideas on how we could potentially make the archetypes more individual, more unique, and how to create more variety within the player builds.
There we go. Finally, 17 episodes in. It's hot takes with Richard.
So, oh boy. So yeah, don't this isn't an actual proposal of anything that I think is realistic. That's important to know because, yeah. So to start off with, we're going to look at, this is only going to be forwards because I don't know defensemen well enough to say anything educated about how to fix defensemen.
I will listen to what you're saying and try and put it into a defenseman.
And I don't even know if defensemen need fixing.
We do, but we can't fix it with the sim right now.
Right. So this takes a little bit of tweaking and some funky stuff. But first of all, we're going to look at the offensive playmaker and sniper, offensive forward playmaker sniper. And I should have, oh crap, I didn't do as much work as prep work in this as I wanted to. Let me pull something up real fast here.
No, that's no problem.
Oh god, I meant to take down the a little more information. I did a really loose outline of some of the things that I was looking at.
Yeah, take your time. In the meantime, I can talk about our sponsor, Blue Apron.
What? Oh god. We're also gonna skip Enforcer because that's not a real thing.
Shit build.
Yeah, it's pretty trash. Sorry. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's very cool idea, but it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth
an Enforcer. It's a penalty.
Trying to include it. Yeah, nobody wants to. Yeah, I don't think it's worth trying to include it. Try to fix it. Leave it as it. Use it. Use it.
If you use it, use it. If you don't.
Yeah. So, to start off with, the existence of the offensive kind of makes playmaker and sniper redundant. It's kind of, I don't know, really. Like it's weird that the way our player builds work currently, there's no reason to have all three of those, really. The idea of a playmaker versus a sniper at least puts it into people's heads that this is what my player is going to do. So that's, I guess, really all it does at this point is give you kind of like an idea of, okay, my player's a sniper or my player's a playmaker. When you can do the same things with a little bit more flexibility as an offensive forward. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of pointless, kind of redundant. Actually, offensive forward is entirely redundant because they have to choose either one of scoring or passing. So so we'll get to back to that though. We're not going to actually address the redundancy right now. All we're going to do is make it so they only have one. Well, you can no longer choose. So they have two attributes of your choice as their strength choices. They have, so for example, sniper is scoring, and then two attributes of choice. It says no passing. We're gonna keep that. You can't take the, obviously you can't take the. I guess that is the biggest difference. You can't take the like the counter to yours but then with offensive forward you can take both. So weird. Anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set them at a defense maxes out at 85. And we're not going to give them the option of choosing it as a strength. We're going to take away it as an option for weakness. And we're not going to change the scale. It's just they can't go past 85. Normal update scale. So basically it leaves them with checking weakness, and I'm okay with leaving that. I think that's fine. I think that makes sense. And then we're going to go to two-way forward, which I think is maybe the one that needs fixing the most because I think it's the strongest forward build. And what we're going to do with two-way forward is we're going to allow them, they're going to keep their defense strength, but we're them at 95. There we go. So they get one of scoring passing, which is normal. They get defense at, caps out at 95, still kind of a strength, not full 99. And then attribute of the choice, that's not going to change. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to force them to take a primary decision maker as a weakness. So they either need to take skating, scoring, or passing as a weakness. And then power forward, the only thing we're going to change there is to not allow them to take defense as a strength. Everything else there stays the same. So what this does is it makes your offensive forwards more focused on offense. It makes your 2A still the best defensive forward, but they're not going to be 99. So the slight tweak. The biggest difference for them is the forcing them to take a primary decision maker as a weakness, and that kind of more. I think that more than having a defensive strength, taking a primary decision maker as a weakness defines them more as the defensive forward than allowing them 99. So that's the idea there. What was the other stuff here? So that's little tweaks. This would need testing, obviously. I have no idea if this would matter or work or completely everything. Just throw in, make more unique, make them kind of make a little more. The other thing is, let's see. To make the offensive forward, sniper, and playmaker a little more unique to kind of eliminate the redundancy. We're going to change offensive forward to allow them to choose 4 strengths, but we're going to have 2 that can go to 97, and then probably 1 to 95, and probably 2 to 95 then as well. And what else can we do with that? I thought I had more of that. So that gives you actually, with the offensive forward, a really interesting kind of mix of potential player builds. That it gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more interesting. And it's less like the sniper and the playmaker where they have kind of one specific thing that they're really good at. You've got some more things that you're quite good at, but just not quite as good as the sniper or the playmaker, for example. So yeah, like I said, it's complicated.
That's an interesting way of doing it, though. I like that.
Unnecessarily complicated. It won't work because of that complication. And I have no idea if it would even fix anything. It's kind of like little ideas I've been spitballing with myself.
I like that though. There's something. I like the idea of adding another strength, but reducing 2 to 97 because that does kind of.
And then you can
It does add to some specialization to a degree.
Yeah, I think I would also eliminate their forcing them to take either scoring or passing. I think most of them would anyway, but I would eliminate it as a requirement. So then you could have a guy that takes skating, puck handling, strength, endurance. I think that creates some interesting potential builds. Yeah. What else? There's something else here.
Did you want to talk about power forward at all?
No, power forward I think requires much change. Because it's already the weakest. I think weakening the other ones is the way to go. I don't think you can. I don't think there's enough to do with the power forward to strengthen it, to bring it up to the level of the other forwards. So instead, I'm kind of dialing everybody else back a little bit in little kind of ways. The other thing I might like to see would be allowing only defensive defensemen to reach 99 defense, maybe.
Wow. Okay. That's kind of a weird concept that I'm all right with. Maybe even here. This is gonna sound horrible. I'm gonna spitball something real quick. This is gonna be horrible. What if we made it so offensive defensemen cannot take defense as a strength?
That makes a ton of sense. Like that would make total sense to do that. Yeah. I don't know if that's a thing. Like I said, I don't know defensive builds at all.
I do not believe. I believe you still take defense as an offensive defenseman.
Let me see.
I like that idea as a trade-off.
Offensive defenseman. Yeah, because attributes of your choice. About a lot of these, they allow for you to. So, defense or offense has a weakness. You have to choose one of checking, defense, or strength. But then you could just take defense and strength as strengths and checking weakness. That's weird to me how that works. If one's a potential weakness, why should it be allowed as a strength? Even something as simple like that, a tweak like that, I think is kind of not necessary. Help a little bit, maybe. It's not a fix, and I have no idea if it would work. Like I said, I haven't tested anything. No clue. It's just some balancing thought, dreams.
I like it though. There's something to be said for fixing what we've already established as a particularly broken system.
Yeah, it would, like, especially the offensive forward is like that would be a mess to deal with.
It's already such a redundant position that does not need to exist.
Yeah,
I do not know what offensive forward does that a playmaker sniper wouldn't do.
It allows you to take, for example, you can take scoring and passing as a strength. That's what it allows you to do. Because right now, sniper can't take passing as a strength, and playmaker can't take scoring as a strength. So it allows you that ability. That's really all it does. But you still have to take one of either strength, one of either score or passing as a strength. So really, it's essentially a playmaker or a sniper unless you take both scoring and passing.
And at that point, you shouldn't anyway. You talk to anybody, then I don't know.
It's functional. It works for sure. And it works. I think it's a lot of people don't agree. I think a lot of people like that, or like defining your role.
Yeah.
Specifically as a player, but it definitely works. What's his name? Oh God, Terrence Nova is a 99 scoring, 99 passing guy,
and it works for him.
Mm.
Yeah, and you're right that it is a lot about defining your role as a player, and we could achieve that better in a better sim. But
yeah, this is a way. I mean, this still wouldn't do it, but this might help. Maybe I don't know. Like I said, I can't disclaimer this enough. This is not a good idea.
It's absolutely not the worst idea I've ever heard, though.
It'd be a fun thing to play with, but it's like, yeah, it's we don't need further complications within the league. We already lose enough people to that. Oh crap! I don't know what I'm doing. There's so much going on here. And then they just leave.
Yeah. I don't know. Builds like anything else in this league are volatile. You can guess at best what they're gonna do.
Yes, I do think two-way forward needs fixing though.
Absolutely.
It's too good. It's not even that much better, but it's just a better power forward is all it is.
It's the strongest forward build.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. This sim makes things difficult to deal with. But it's either deal with it, try and fix it, which is damn near impossible.
It's very difficult.
Or just move to a new system and run the risk of retention loss.
Yeah, I think it's too big of a risk, and but then that just leaves us in a position of being completely handcuffed by Simon T.
Yep, that fucking French bastard.
uh, there's one other thing Argar had mentioned that I wanted to touch on really quickly.
Yeah, go
He
ahead.
was talking about even if, for example, we forced, the no checking weakness, that people would still not put points into checking, and that there's definitely some validity to that. But I think even as power forwards, most power aren't putting a lot into checking early either. So I think if you allowed everyone to put points into checking, I think the biggest barrier to putting points into checking isn't that it caps out lower; it's the cost. So if you're, I think more people, a fair amount more checking. It only takes 40 TPE to get to 70 checking, and that would be a lot. If you gave, like, I don't know, a third of the league 70 checking, a third more on top of what there already is, I think we'd see. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happened, but yeah, it's. I think people would put points into checking if it wasn't a weakness to a point. People wouldn't be maxing it out or anything. But
Yeah, of course.
70 to 80 is 70 is very high value in terms of TPE per attribute increase, and even up to 80 is still pretty good. So I think we would see, not everybody obviously, but a significant number of players with higher checking, just because of the lower cost. But it'd still be in that realm of, oh, I'll do this later when I've got all my other stuff figured out.
Exactly.
For sure. But that's the same. That's the case with power forwards in the most, for the most part, too. So yeah. Anyway,
No, I think it's a good thing to talk about. We
sure.
can. I feel like we repeat the same points, but I feel like people don't fucking listen. This league is broken.
It's the best we can do with what we have. We've got, like, this weird palette not palette, like a canvas to work on that's, like, just too small. It's just too small.
It's too small, and it's kind of rocky. We're kind of like painting on sand for some reason.
Yeah. Yes. There's only so much you can do, and we've, I think, kind of done about as much as we can.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done what we can do with what we've got.
Yeah.
The only fix to make it better is to move to a new system, and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. If there are small tweaks out there to be made, I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
But or that they matter, because I think they'll be too small to matter. But yeah, I don't know. Just some musings, I guess, some thoughts I've had bouncing around in my head.
About, right?
Yeah. I guess we're probably done-ish, huh?
Yeah, I think that's everything we wanted to hit, right?
How long did we go? Because it feels like it was kind of long.
We are just under the threshold of an hour and a half. We're 128.
Terrible, I suppose.
No, that's about regular for us.
Cool.
All right. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this week, Blue Apron. I wonder if we can get a sponsorship out of them.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean,
we don't get enough viewers.
Unless all 7 people that listen buy
Blue Apron. Hey. Buy Blue Apron.
Luke, buy Blue Apron right now.
Buy Blue Apron and tell them we sent you. Get us that sponsor. They'll give a fucking sponsorship to anybody. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Blue Apron. If you've made it this far, as always, thank you so much for listening. I'm Adam, and this is Rich.
Hi.
And we'll see you next week in number 18.
Take care.